Greetings and salutations. We're back again with some more one talent challenge in Nightmare. We're gonna see if we can finish Act 5, or if, well, we're gonna finish Act 5, or we're gonna die trying. Now, as you know, I only have 2 talents to work with, which is my ravens and my wolves. And if I get to hell difficulty, I can get a third. If is the key word there. Now, I have 1 trepidation. And it's not the barbarians. The barbarians, whatever, the barbarians are going to do what barbarians do, which is shout and whirlwind and all that other happy jazz. Nef-a-phlegm, on the other hand, is in his own right an absolute villain. Because, you know, as you can see, I'm obviously got a whole gaggle of creatures. But the problem is, Nef-a-phlegm feeds off of this. When my creatures kill something, Nef-a-phlegm has corpse explosion. Which does not bode well for me. At least in that regard. Because, yeah. Because I can't reflect corpse explosion damage to him with the thorns. So now we're left with, if he corpse explodes on me, it could take my entire life total and I could just drop dead. There's a high possibility of that happening. My only, I think, saving grace would be the fact that I could maybe kite some of the enemies away, that kind of thing. And I know for a fact that a lot of people are only tuning into this just to see if I die. Truthfully. And you want to know what? Honestly, great. I hope I hope that you get some sort of nihilistic glee out of it when I do die. I mean, that's half the reason of doing it, right? That's half the reason to make the content, is so that people can enjoy it in whatever way they want to. I mean, some people don't enjoy certain things, other people don't enjoy other things. I don't enjoy broccoli, but, you know, hey, we each have our own proclivities, and if your proclivity is watching hardcore characters bite the big one, then, well, let's hope I can, you know, provide at least some bit of entertainment while this happens. Now, of course, I'm not wanting to die and having to restart my character, but we're learning something here. This is like a tug of war, right? The tug of war is, I don't want my character to die, so I'm doing everything in my power to not let it die. Being passive, being very leery, and just kind of, I don't know, weirdly evasive when it comes to taking damage. But I also have to put myself out there and put myself in harm's way to attempt to, you know, get the units in place and everything, and then use them obviously as, you know, a front line. That's kind of the whole reason I went with the wolves. Now, when I get to hell difficulty, I'm going to be picking up Firestorm to become more of an active member of the team. But it's going to have its own difficulties. Now, I wanted to talk about something else. And I kind of want to say this with some semblance of I respect the person's opinion, because it's an opinion, and of course they're free to have it and they're free to express it in any way they want to. But at the same time, I also want to point out that if their opinion got to that point, perhaps what they're doing is they're not looking at it properly. Now, let me elaborate. There's been a whole bunch of people on Twitter that have been talking about Black Ops 6. Now, I haven't played a whole lot of Black Ops 6, except for the couple times I've done the story mode on my channel, and it's me dying a lot, just so you know. But then again, I'm doing it veteran difficulty, pistols only where applicable. We know the drill. Point remains, I'm not what you would call the overly competitive, you know, have to be the upper 1% of Black Ops. That's not me. That's never been how I play. But somewhere along the line, all of these people from, say, like the FaZe clan or these other, you know, gaming clans, they've lost the plot somewhere along the line. They're talking about hating almost every single map in Black Ops, saying, "Oh, all the maps in Black Ops 6 are just absolutely awful." I don't know about you, but I like all the maps. I like every single map that's in Black Ops 6 right now. I'm not good at some maps. In fact, I'm bad at Red Card, and I'm bad at a couple other maps, but I like the maps. I think they're fun. They add a different dimension than just there's 3 lanes, go kill. I mean, don't get me wrong, I want Zarqwa Hydroelectric, and I kind of have it now, because there's another one that I can Frogman on, and I can't wait to do the Frogman Chronicles, which, by the way, you will see that. I will be bringing that to the channel as the Frogman Chronicles. No worries, I'll explain it. But these people have kind of lost the plot, because they're sitting there, and while it's okay for them to have an opinion and express it, they're sitting there saying that the game's just not, like... They think that the game's nothing more than a cash grab. And it's like, wait a minute, why is it nothing more than a cash grab? Maybe because you people are playing it as a job instead of having fun. And now we've come to the crux of the discussion and the crux of the differing of opinions. When I play a game, I play it to have fun. And if I'm not having fun with the game, I come up with a challenge, like this one. It seems pretty straightforward, right? If you're not having fun with a game, change the game. Make it so you are having fun with the game. Now, I've tried to do this with other products. I'm almost out of arrows, so I gotta go back and buy some. I've tried to do this with other products. I've tried to do this with Diablo 3. I've tried to do this with Diablo 4. And for some reason, I just can't get into it. Maybe that's my downfall. Maybe it's a me problem. Probably is. Thing is I personally can't get into these games. Like, I can't get into Diablo 3 and Diablo 4 because they just don't feel Diablo to me. If that makes sense. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not enjoyable. There's plenty of people out there that enjoy the games, and I have more power to them. If you enjoy it and that's your thing, awesome. I hope you really I hope you have a really great time enjoying that game. And if it's fun for you, by all means, enjoy it. Play it for fun. But it's just not for me anymore. Now, that could be the case for these people that play Black Ops 6. They could be saying that it's not for them because it's just no fun anymore. But that's not how they phrased it on Twitter. They phrased it on Twitter that the games are no longer the same as they were in, like, Modern Warfare 2019. And they're saying that the maps are just not good, and that, you know, Treyarch didn't really try. And it's like, wait a minute. You have this brand new movement system that you wanted to implement into this game, and everybody was excited about the movement system. And now you have these people saying, oh, well, the movement system's great, but all their maps are based off of Warzone. Okay, so they're based off of Warzone. So it's the fault of the company that they wanted to cater to the free players that are going to buy the cosmetics? No. And I mean, you can't really blame... I mean, I can't blame Warzone for this. It's not Warzone's... It's not like Warzone forced the hand. You know what I mean? It's not like... It's not like the people that made Warzone, or the division, or the section, if you will, that made Warzone sat there and said, if you don't add this stuff to the game, or if you don't build it around Warzone, it's never going to work. That doesn't happen. That didn't happen. So what I'm guessing is they kind of went along with that idea as a strategy. Whatever the strategy was for them, it's angered quite a small, rather sweaty player base. These are the people that are walking around trying to say that they're the best of the best, and they're, one of them was already maxed prestige. Yeah. Maxed prestige, and it only took him 7 days. Okay, that's... Yeah. It's a little sweaty. Like, I don't want to be that guy, but that's just a wee bit sweaty. But I digress. Outside of that, you have all these other people that are like, oh, the game's just not fun because there's not enough competition. And it's like, okay, ranked mode isn't even out yet. And when ranked mode hits, you think these people are going to come flying back? No. Nuketown's slated to come out tomorrow on the 1st. Yes, this is recorded on Halloween, by the way. But Nuketown's slated to come out on the 1st. And these people are already jumping to conclusions about how good the game is when all the maps aren't out right yet. And people say, well, why didn't they just bring out all the maps? Okay, let's go on that assumption. Let's say they did. They bring out all the maps, day one. What's there to look forward to? The prestige, okay, you've now gotten max prestige. What's there to look forward to? Oh, the camo grind. Okay, you've maxed your camo grind. What's there to look forward to? See what I mean? So, I think what's getting lost in translation here is these players want the old feel, the old look and feel of the old Modern Warfares and whatnot, and the old Call of Duties. But they don't want the old Call of Duties. They want the old Call of Duties remastered. But what happens when you remaster something? The inevitable happens. The company loses their way, decides to make something bloated and runaway, and most often, inferior in almost every regard. And so, you ask yourself one question: what is it exactly you want? And honestly, I don't think these players know. I think they want that nostalgia back. That feeling of, hey, I played this game for the first time way back when, and I got good at it, or whatever. And it's like, adapt. Play to have fun. I mean, like, for example, look at my But Will It Snipe series, right? I did that to goof off and have fun. I really didn't care about my kill death. I didn't care about the win-loss. Not at all. What I cared about in that is, would it snipe? That's it. I had fun doing it. And that's the key. Every single Call of Duty game is a build-your-own-fun kind of game. Now, some people don't seem to understand that, and the reason they don't understand that is because, to them, a build-your-own-fun kind of game is, like Minecraft or something, because now you're technically building. No. Like, for example, you know what I did one time in Modern Warfare 2019? I put a bayonet, I had to think of the name of it. I put a bayonet on an AK-47. And it wasn't just an AK-47, no, it was like this compact AK. It was this little tiny squat box of an AK, right? And I put a bayonet on it. And I ran around knifing people with the bayonet on the AK in Modern Warfare 2019. And people are like, why aren't you shooting your gun? I was like, why shoot it when I've got a bayonet? That's like, you know, why do I need to pull the trigger? I got a bayonet. You know? Let's just run right up to him and stab him. Worked for me. Worked great. And I was having a blast doing it. I was just having a grand old time. Of course, people, you know, people then thought I was crazy, and they're like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. And so... And it's like, whatever happened to having fun with the game, you know? And I think that's what I'm getting at here. Is that these pro players have done it for so long as a job, they refuse to have fun with it. They look for the meta, find the meta, abuse the meta, max out their levels, and then stroke their own ego, and then wonder why the game's not fun anymore. Well, it's because you sat there and you sucked all the fun out of it with the meta. It's no different than the Pokemon meta, right? Pokemon meta is the same way. You play the Pokemon meta, what happens? Everybody's sucked all the fun out of it. Because everybody's playing the meta and using the meta, and there's nothing different. Which is why I like to do what I do. Why I like to use the Pokemon I do. Wait a minute. Since when did Tomb Vipers have that ability? Well, that was a fun little fight, wasn't it? And this isn't even Nef-a-phlegm's area. This is just a random place with some champions. And my wolves got shredded. That was crazy. Ah, yes. This, imagine this. Like, I just got to thinking about it right now. Take a look at this game. You have arachnids. Labeled as Iraq, or Arreat. And it's like, okay, yeah, they're kind of horribly named, because it's, like, not very ingenious to come up with an arachnid named Arreat. But there was no arachnophobia mod back then. I mean, granted, there was a lot of people with arachnophobia, but there was no arachnophobia option. Blizzard was just like, nope, we're adding spiders to the game because they're big and creepy and they fit the Diablo theme. There you go. No heads up, just there's your spiders. Now, obviously, what do the people with arachnophobia do? Do they just opt not to play the game? Of course, Nef-a-phlegm's in the last place I look. Sounds like it raises interesting questions, and it also I mean, the way I see it is I just kind of look at it and say, you know, Blizzard just didn't care. And people say, well, of course they didn't care. You know, it was the early ages. Okay, but let's look at it this way. What if they did care, but none of that really mattered? Can't put any points in yet. Oh, I'm gonna need more mana, sadly. I'm gonna need more life before this whole difficulty is all over, but I'm gonna need more mana for the next difficulty, assuming I make it. Which, of course, you know, you see the wolves and everything, and you're like, oh, of course you're gonna make it. You got all those wolves, silly. That's not necessarily the case. Yeah, I take one wrong turn, I walk down one wrong hallway, one minor error, and it's curtains. Though, I'm kind of making a very bittersweet moment right now. Like, I'm sitting here doing this, one talent challenge, and I'm thinking to myself, man, Diablo 2 used to be a lot tougher. Or so I thought. And then I got to thinking, what if it was never tough to begin with, and the only reason why it was so tough, or why it appeared to be so tough, was that it was just us playing recklessly. No? You know what I mean? Because if you think about it, if you play recklessly, what happens? You take chances, you really... Ow. I mean, you play recklessly and everything, you take more chances. So you're going to do foolish things with your characters. I'm the telltale sign of that. I do foolish stuff with my characters all the time. Ah, see? Right there. See what I mean? That's Nef-a-phlegm's work right there. Ow. Hey, I managed to beat Nef-a-phlegm. Granted, I was hiding. But at the same time, I had to do something. I couldn't just be like, let me run out there excessively ballsy and try to do something. It wouldn't work. So that would be a one-way trip to the grave for sure.
Good evening.
So now I get an item that may or may not be beneficial to me. It's going to be a helmet.
Good evening. You have stopped. What are your needs?
Oh, wait, no, it's not. I got to personalize. I get to personalize an item. Doesn't matter. Because it's not like he's going to survive anyway. And if he does survive, I'll be shocked. So now we got to find the frozen tundra. Well, the Moon Lords. I didn't expect the Moon Lords to be that big of an issue because of how, like, they do all physical damage, and then when they hit, they take the thorns, and they get frenzy, so they get even more thorns. I don't know. I'm still stuck on that whole Black Ops 6 statement and debacle. I mean, I can't even say it's a debacle, but it's... I think that's going to become an issue when you make a career out of anything, right? You're like, oh, well, I'm going to, take, for example, anybody. You could be like, yes, I work, like, let's say Mr. Beast, for example, right? Or Markiplier, or Jacksepticeye, or anybody. Any big name YouTuber that's decided to make his life's work doing X or Y, you know? And some of them have to really change and become something different. And by that I mean, like, legitimately, there's a lot of them that have had to... Wow, that's a lot of poison damage I'm taking. There's a lot of them that have really had to become something they, per se, aren't. And start acting in a way that's slightly different from their norm. Or at least perceived to act slightly different from their norm. And it's kind of weird. It's like, are they still the same genuine person that everybody knew ages ago? Well, maybe, but how can you be so sure? You know, you'll hear things like, oh, you've changed. Okay, well, how have they changed? And then they'll end up having, you end up having to hear things like how they've changed and what all about their personality has changed. And it's like, are they doing that because they prioritize the monetary gains more than they prioritize being true self? I'm not saying that they've done this. I'm saying when it happens, because it does happen. I mean, no one can say that it doesn't, because I'm pretty sure everybody goes through it. They get to a point where the money starts to accentuate who they really are. It's an old adage. You know, money doesn't change people, money only reveals to them their true self. I mean, you take a look at it, take a look at it from the perspective of, say, Asmongold. A lot of people like to give Asmon a whole bunch of crap, saying, "Oh, well, look at him; he's nothing more than a sleaze bag or whatever." Because look at the filth he lives in. Okay, but would he have lived that way even without the money? Probably. It's hard telling. Ouch. But it's like one of those unknown things. You'll never know how the person was going to act without the money, because nobody really got to see him without the money, right? I don't know if I would say that money corrupts people. I mean, it certainly shows like there's a correlation between earning money and corruption. I mean, for sure. Well, the question is what did they have the corrupt mindset before they got the money? Or was that something newly developed after they got the money? That's where the difficulty to tell comes in. Because if it was before they had the money, it's like, then how did they get the money? Was it because of the corrupt mindset? It becomes a circular logic, you see. Because let's take, for example, person A. So person A has a corrupt mindset, but doesn't have money. When he comes into having money, he ends up having a more corrupt mindset. Person B does not have a corrupt mindset, but comes into money, then develops getting a corrupt mindset after getting the money. Was it the money that did it, or was it the corrupt mindset to begin with? In one case, it would be the money, of course, because the person who didn't have a corrupt mindset got money and then became corrupted. Whereas the other person was corrupted before they got money. Okay. So, I mean, it brings up an interesting, like, duality. Is it the money truly that does it? I think the money allows for it to happen, but I don't think it's directly correlated. I think it's dependent solely on people being grounded. You know what I mean? It's like if they're a down-to-earth person, then nothing's gonna change them, you know? They used to call them salt of the earth. You know, all those people are the salt of the earth. Well, which to me never made a whole lot of sense, because being the salt of the earth means you're very, you know, I guess you come from the ground. But what happens when you salt the earth? When you salt the earth, it destroys it. So that terminology is kind of weird. It's just fun to have that little mental jaunt, you know what I mean? And I guess for some people, to the wider extent of the audience that watches this, they find it rather amusing because the view count's there, so... And people would say, wait a minute, you only get like 5 views per video. What are you talking about? The view count's there. Ah, but you see 5 is higher than 0. Mm-hmm.
At your service.
I think people kind of... I think there's a small section of people that look at the videos that I make and go, well, why doesn't this guy have a rage? Why doesn't he have a rage? Is he beyond rage? No. See, I get frustrated at certain things. Certain things. The one thing that does frustrate me a lot, and I'll be the first to admit it, is terrible teams in Pokemon Unite. That is my own personal salt line, okay? You give me a bad team in Pokemon Unite, and I don't mean bad team as in, like, they don't know what they're doing in terms of the character they play, right? If you're trying out a new character and you don't know what you're doing, fine. Everybody's been there. It's like, oh, I picked up this character. I don't know how they work, so I'm going to play it anyway. And next thing you know, they absolutely just make a hash of it. Okay, fine. Happens to everybody. All right, I'm going to have to move some stuff to a different tab. There. I have to start moving gems to a different tab, too. I'm running out of room. You know what? I'm going to get rid of Wirt's leg. I'm not going to go do the cow level. I don't think I'm going to use that gem either, so we're going to get rid of that, too. Nevertheless, you know, you get me a team where they know how to play the game, they know what they're doing, but they don't understand the mechanics in terms of where to go, what to do at certain times. This is like in Pokemon Unite, if you've seen me play it on the channel, you'll know that there are certain objectives. Regieleki, Regice, Regirock, Registeel. Down in the bottom, the Regieleki's up top. And you can forego getting them because it doesn't really sway the momentum of battle that heavy. Yes, it helps a little, but I don't see it being like the be-all, end-all, you know. It's not like the Giga Nuts, as Raren would say. And yes, I do watch quite a few YouTubers in terms of, like, Raren. I haven't watched Markiplier and Jack in forever. But, you know, watching people like Raren, you know, because I do like playing Hearthstone as much as Hearthstone. My RNG in Hearthstone, I'm more upset at my RNG than I am at the actual game Hearthstone. The game Hearthstone's extremely fun to play. It's not very popular, and not a lot of people watch it. Ooh, that's a lot of bowmen. So there's that, you know, I don't rage at the game, because 9 times out of 10 when something happens in the game, it's my fault as a player. I failed to do something. I failed to play in such a way that was sufficient, right? There's a lot of that personal responsibility that comes into play. Now, people would say, yeah, you sit there and say personal responsibility, but, you'll deflect certain responsibilities to other players. Well, it depends. Where does the fault lie? I'm going to use Pokemon Unite for an example. When playing Pokemon Unite the other night, I was just downstairs chilling. I decided to pick it up and play a game. Or 5. And in one of the games, my team decided to go for the Rayquaza in mid. Now, when you go for the Rayquaza in mid, you absolutely never go for the Rayquaza. You wait until you can see the opponent. Because the opponent could be waiting for you. They could do an ambush. They can win the team fight. When they win the team fight, they win the Rayquaza, and then it just snowballs from there. And they win the game. This is a well-known fact in basically every MOBA. League of Legends had it. Heroes of Newerth had it. Dota 2 has it. You always check. And of course, in Pokemon Unite, you don't have vision wards. You can't go and put vision wards out and see where the opponents are moving. So a lot of it is you have to know the mechanics before that fight begins. So before the Rayquaza fight starts, you have to know, okay, the enemy team's going to be there. And then you have to assess the threats of the enemy team. Are they enough of a threat that we have to worry about being jumped and countered and then destroyed? Are they, are they going to initiate? Are they not going to initiate? That type of knowledge comes from playing the game. Now, when you have people who have hundreds of, if not thousands of games under their belt in Pokemon Unite, and you can look at their trainer card after the game, and I have on a lot of these, and a lot of these trainers are 100%. They should know what they're doing. But lo and behold, shock and awe, they don't. They do the same mistakes a rookie does. And it's like, dude, you've played 200 games in the season. There is no way you're making that mistake at this point in the season. You played 2K games and you're still making the same rookie errors. I don't think so. I do not buy that. It's like that meme. I'll take things that never happened for 500, Alex. Just doesn't happen. I'm sorry. And so, this raises an interesting quandary. And the quandary it raises is, if they know how to play, and they're purposely playing like manure, is it just to get under someone's skin? What's the end goal? What's the end game? What's the purpose? If they don't know how to play and they have that many games, are you playing on someone else's account? It doesn't make any sense. And so it really starts to irk me when these people make the same foolish mistakes again and again and again. And they're not bots. They're not bots because they have names like, you know, they'll have their name and then it'll say like TTV for Twitch TV after it. So they're streamers and they're playing. And it's like, all right. So it makes me question even further. It's like, are you throwing intentionally? Throwing for content? Like, what's going on here? It's irritating, to say the least. And it really gets to me. That does. It does make me salty. But I don't rage, per se, excessively. And I would never rage on camera because, well, that's just, conduct unbecoming of a content creator. It's just, very unbecoming. So I won't do that. So if you're looking for a rage gamer, I'm sorry. Even if I played, Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, which I'm gonna make a bold statement here. I find Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy to be one of the most perfect games ever made. There's very few bugs. It does exactly as it sets out to do. Everything that happens is indeed the player's fault. And it tries to impart life lessons upon people. It's a perfect game, man. And it's got a decent soundtrack to it. The sound effects are good. It's just a solid game. Now, of course, people that rage over games would tell you that you're full of it. You don't know what you're talking about because it's a rage game and it is meant to make people angry, and it kind of reminds me of that meme of the hockey player. It's like, why are you so mad? They sold a game. And that's exactly how I feel about a lot of things. It's like, don't when you get to that point, don't rage over the game, right? Rage over the players. Like, if you're playing a game that has other players in it, rage over the other players being incompetent, right? Because if the other player is making a mistake and they keep making the same mistakes, yeah, it's like you need to pull them aside and try to coach them. Problem is, you can't always do that. So this is why Pokemon Unite makes me lose my cool. But again, never on camera, because it's just unbecoming. I try to compose myself and function like a proper gentleman. And it's like, I want everyone to note the try to. That does mean there is room for error. See, I don't want to kill the towers, but, I'm not really having much of a choice here. I'm trying to look for the waypoint. I know, why do you care about the waypoint? It's not important. I like getting all the waypoints. It's like a feather in the cap of a completionist, I don't do a completionist run on most games, but on a Diablo title, I want all. I want all the waypoints. Whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa. Getting a little spicy here. Now you'll notice how I cast wolves in different locations. There's a reason for this. It's to separate the the shooting lanes of the archers. Because if the archers, like, for example, if I summoned all the wolves right in front of me, what would happen? I summoned all the wolves, like, right in front of me. All the archers are shooting in one direction, right toward me. I don't want that. So I'll summon wolves to the side, and I'll summon wolves behind them. That way it disperses the fire into like a star pattern, rather than, even though that was a hand-shaped pattern, it disperses the I don't want to add sockets. I want to sell, you fool. Ooh, Whitson's Guard. Half freeze duration. Don't mind if I do. That'll come in handy for Duriel. Maybe. I say maybe because the Thorns damage might come in handy for Duriel next time. And if I swap out to go for the half freeze duration, I might end up getting myself killed. Nevertheless, there's the waypoint. So, with Pokemon Unite, back to that, because I did kind of venture off topic. I did the weave. I did a weave and I kind of weaved out a topic, and I'm kind of weaving back in here. So with Pokemon Unite, I get upset at the players because it's like, you should know better as a player. They should just know better. Then again, that comes with knowledge of the game. But like I said, I don't even get upset with the player. Now, sometimes I will call them an idiot, especially when they do something extremely stupid. There have been multiple times where, if you're playing as like Snorlax or Slowbro, or even let me think of his name. Give me a second. Armarouge. Each one of those that I just mentioned, Slowbro, Snorlax, Blastoise, Armarouge, Greedent, to a lesser extent Greedent. A lot of those are what are initiator Pokemon. They are meant to initiate the combat and then draw the enemy in. It's okay if they die, but that's what it's there for. I'll pick this conversation up in the next video. I hope everybody enjoyed this video, and I enjoyed making it, so I hope you enjoy watching it. I hope everybody has a fantastic evening, a wonderful tomorrow, and as always, have a good one.